Peace, a fragile thing, often hangs by a thread. And right now, that thread seems to be fraying dangerously thin between the United States and Iran. President Trump has declared that the ceasefire agreement, a delicate arrangement aimed at de-escalating tensions, is effectively over. This declaration comes in the wake of escalating attacks and heightened military activity in the critical Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz, a vital choke point for global energy supplies, has once again become the focal point of this dangerous standoff. Today, we're going to dissect the implications of this breakdown in diplomacy, explore the recent military actions, and consider the potential paths forward in this increasingly volatile situation. The immediate trigger for the breakdown appears to be a series of recent Iranian attacks targeting vessels in the region, including a liquefied natural gas tanker. These actions directly threatened the safety and flow of maritime traffic through the Strait of Hormuz, a passage responsible for a significant portion of the world's oil transport. In response, the U.S. military launched a significant retaliatory strike, targeting over 80 sites across Iran. These strikes notably included Karg Island, a crucial hub for Iran's oil industry, signaling a clear escalation from the American side. Iran, however, did not back down. They responded with their own offensive actions, launching drones and ballistic missiles that were reportedly aimed at targets in Bahrain and Kuwait, nations that host significant U.S. military bases. This tit-for-tat exchange demonstrates the escalating cycle of violence. President Trump's public statements following these events were particularly stark. He declared that the U.S. had hit Iran very hard the previous night and threatened further strikes, even suggesting they might happen again tonight. This aggressive posture sent shockwaves through global markets. Adding to the tension, Trump indicated that reimposing a naval blockade on Iran was under consideration, a move that would significantly increase economic pressure. He even raised the controversial prospect of targeting civilian infrastructure, such as electricity and desalination plants. Yet, amidst these threats, there were also mixed signals. Trump also commented that a full-blown war was unlikely, stating, "I don't think it's going to start again." This ambiguity left many questioning the administration's true intentions. The immediate impact, however, was undeniable, with Brent crude futures jumping over 7%. This breakdown comes after a preliminary peace agreement was signed in mid-June, which included a 60-day pause in hostilities. The core purpose of this agreement was to reopen the Strait of Hormuz to international shipping, and to provide a framework for negotiating other contentious issues between the two nations. However, since the deal was struck, Iran has, by many accounts, asserted increased control over the waterway, warning ships and engaging in the very strikes the agreement was meant to prevent. This has effectively stalled the diplomatic process. Little tangible progress has been made in talks since the initial meeting in Switzerland, leaving the future of the agreement, and by extension regional stability, in serious doubt. The hopeful beginnings of a diplomatic solution seem to have dissolved into renewed confrontation. Some analysts suggest that these recent strikes are not necessarily a complete breakdown of diplomacy, but rather a new phase of negotiation, with force being used as a tool. As Brian Clark, a former Pentagon official, puts it, the strikes are now part of the negotiation. This perspective highlights a significant challenge for the Trump administration, finding effective leverage over Iran after the regime weathered earlier campaigns and resisted efforts to force concessions on key issues like its nuclear and missile programs. The differing perspectives are also evident on the international stage, with European allies and NATO showing varying degrees of support or opposition. Spain's decision to close its airspace to U.S. planes involved in the conflict underscores these divisions. Experts are weighing in on the gravity of the situation. Ali Vaez of the International Crisis Group points out that Trump cannot simply abandon the Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, because the alternative is far less attractive for the U.S. The current dynamic sees both sides using force to assert their claims over the Strait of Hormuz, a critical artery for global energy. This leaves global energy markets in a state of renewed uncertainty, after a period where supplies were beginning to stabilize and prices were falling. The collapse of the MOU would indeed present a less attractive path, potentially leading to greater economic damage and a more unpredictable regional landscape. The question remains, can diplomacy be salvaged, or is this the beginning of a prolonged period of military posturing? So, what does the future hold? We can envision several potential scenarios. One possibility is a return to limited strikes, with both sides continuing to engage in diplomatic maneuvering, trying to gain an upper hand without triggering a full-scale conflict. A second, more concerning scenario involves further escalation. This could mean broader economic sanctions, more significant naval actions, or even direct military confrontations that quickly spiral out of control. The potential for miscalculation is high. A third path could see a renewed push for negotiation. This might be spurred by severe market volatility, intense international pressure, or a realization by both sides that the costs of continued conflict are simply too high. Domestic political considerations on both sides will also play a crucial role in shaping these future actions. We've seen a rapid escalation, from a fragile ceasefire to open confrontation, with President Trump signaling the end of the agreement and the U.S. carrying out significant strikes. The Strait of Hormuz remains a critical flashpoint, its stability directly impacting global energy markets and international security. The ongoing struggle between military action and the pursuit of diplomatic resolution continues. The path forward is uncertain, fraught with risks and complex geopolitical considerations. As events unfold, it's crucial to stay informed and consider the long-term implications of these actions. The delicate balance of power in the Middle East and its effect on the global economy hangs in the balance. Thank you for joining us today.